So ask yourself, what is the biggest two or three news stories that have occurred on here on Earth since, let's say, 1988? Since 1988, what would you say the three biggest news stories are? 9/11, Tom Brady, just kidding. I mean, I don't know, because it's hard to quantify what's a big news story. But this, what got me thinking about this is Donald Trump's presence on the world stage for a decade now as a political figure. And I think it's the biggest news story of my career. I said 1988. That's when my career started. Really started in '87, but whatever. When in election night in 2016, I was on Stephen Colbert, and it appeared Trump was going to win, and I said, if Donald Trump wins, it'll be a more cataclysmic story than 9/11. And people gave me crap for that because they said, oh, worse than 9/11. I didn't say it was worse. I said more cataclysmic. The most prescient thing I've said, maybe in my whole career, was that, because this is cataclysmic. Look up the definition. It doesn't mean bad, it just means big change, I think, if I remember correctly. But that's what I meant by cataclysmic. And for many Americans, again, people started saying to me during Trump's first term, the election of Donald Trump is the worst. They would say the worst thing that ever happened to me, they would say. And I would say, you mean the worst thing that's happened in our country or in politics? No, they'd say the worst thing that's ever happened to them personally. Now more than ever, for some Minnesotans, I like to say it that way, Minnesotans, I just cannot believe what a big story this is. No one has written an accurate story or book or article about what Donald Trump is really like that I've ever read. And no one has written a book or a magazine story. Josh Shapiro, oh no, it's from a different thing, about Trump's impact on society and on the world. It's kind of incredible to me that no one's written that. Perhaps I should take a hiatus from this program and the two-way platform and write it, because I feel I have a decent handle on it, but not total. In any event, so much happened today, and we try not to make every story about Donald Trump. But a lot of stories today are about Donald Trump. He talked not once, not twice, not three times. He talked four times today to the television cameras and made a lot of news on a lot of topics. So we'll be going through that. We're talking a lot about Minnesota today. And one of the things we'll talk about is late breaking news from my friend Jennifer Jacobs at CBS News. She used to work for the Des Moines Register. Then I worked with her at Bloomberg. She's one of the best reporters in the country. And she broke this story with her colleagues moments before we went on the air. And it is, as they say in the television business, a doozy. Do we have the tweet, Sam? If we do, throw it up there. Here it is. This is kind of incredible news. Justice Department is investigating Minnesota officials, including Governor Tim Walz, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, for impeding federal immigration agents. So Donald Trump has been bandying about the concept that these guys might be investigated, but now Jennifer, who's a very good and fair reporter, says that the Justice Department has opened an investigation. And again, people have started talking about this as a civil war, and I thought it was hyperbolic until about 12 hours ago, and now I think it may be apt. There's so much tension there and around the country. And so people in Blue America will look at this report and they say it's another abuse of justice, another weaponization of the Justice Department, another act of lawfare by Donald Trump. And people in Red America will say, well, they're obstructing the lawful conduct of the federal government. The 10th Amendment doesn't apply in cases where the federal government's enforcing the law. And you want to talk about lawfare? They tried to put Donald Trump in prison with 4 separate indictments by Democratic prosecutors. I can say all this in my sleep, as can most of you, but this is it's an extraordinary moment, what's going on in Minnesota. And for a week now, people have said, de-escalate. No, we're escalating. So we'll talk a lot about that. Amy Klobuchar, who may run for governor and who's the senior and most popular Democrat in the state, spoke out. I just think this is an objective fact, ladies and gentlemen. This is an objective fact. The Democratic leadership in Minnesota, public facing, Ellison, the governor, the mayor, the congresswoman, they've not been competent as spokespeople for their point of view. It's not a partisan statement. They've just, I can think of so many. If this were happening to Governor Shapiro or some of the other governors, I think some would be doing poorly too. But if this were happening in Pennsylvania or California, or Michigan or Colorado. There's a way to articulate what's going on from the Democratic point of view that's better than that they've done. And I think not just the Democrats, but I think the country's poorer for it because there are some massive constitutional issues here. There's some moral issues. There's some separation of power issues, and it's all overwhelmed by the student body right efficiency of MAGA, of the president and of his allies in the state, of his allies on the media. It's a mismatch. It's a mismatch. Democrats wonder. They say Trump is a Hitler. He's the worst president ever. The economy's horrible. His policies are horrible, and his poll numbers suggest that. Another poll from CNN today suggests that. And yet every poll shows Democrats are less popular than Republicans. How could you be a Democrat? How could you deal with the cognitive dissonance? We're less popular than Hitler in a free country where everybody sees everything Donald Trump does. How do you live yourself? How do you live for yourself? How do you not do, as David Plouffe did in his New York Times op-ed piece, how do you not do some soul searching? We're less popular than Hitler. It's just kind of incredible. Anyway, we're going to talk about Minnesota. Again, I'm eager to hear what our guests think about Amy Klobuchar's long statement in reaction to the recent events. She was on MS Now last night. Remember, every time I say MSNBC, I have to put $40,000 in the swear jar. I almost said it, but I didn't. And when I said it just now, it was in quotes. MS Now, Klobuchar was on last night. She spoke again today, finally out of her hibernation. So we'll look at that. We'll look at what polymarket wagers think about the prospect that the president might invoke the Insurrection Act. And we're going to talk about other topics. The Fed. I'm so interested. I want to write a biography of Donald Trump that it's entirely made up of his statements about the Fed. Once again, today, he threw a monkey wrench into those who disregard me when I say it is probably not going to be Kevin Hassett. I've never said 0%, but I've said it probably won't be for a variety of reasons. And today, at a public event at the White House.
We have the bite.
Okay, at a public event at the White House today, the president said this.
For years, they've been working on it. And I see Kevin's in the audience, and I just want to thank you. You were fantastic on television today. I actually want to keep you where you are, if you want to know the truth. Kevin Hassett is so good. I'm saying, wait a minute. If I move them, these Fed guys, certainly the one we have now, they don't talk much. I would lose you. It's a serious concern to me. So I just want to say thank you very much. You've done incredible. We don't want to lose him, Susie. But we'll see how it all works out, okay? Thank you, Kevin. Great job.
Thank you, Kevin. Great job. You know, I've said to you folks, look at the history of Donald Trump in personnel. He almost never picks someone who he passes over in the process. They say, well, pick Kevin Hassett. Well, no, I'm not going to pick him. He almost never doubles back. Other presidents double back all the time. Well, we can't find anybody better. Trump just doesn't like to do that. And I've been skeptical for a variety of reasons. Kevin Hassett has a ton of enemies, not personal enemies. I shouldn't say enemies. It's a ton of people who don't want him picked. Now, people say, well, it's the other Kevin. It's Kevin Warsh. I still don't think it'll be Kevin Warsh. I continue to think it's door number 5. But what's two hilarious things today about the president and the Fed pick? Number one, he said once again, for the third or fourth time, he knows who he's going to pick. No, he doesn't. He doesn't know he's going to pick. And number two, Scott Bessent said something so hilarious. He said, he was on Kudlow right before Rand Paul was on Kudlow, right before I was on Kudlow today. I very much enjoy being on with Kudlow for a variety of reasons, which maybe I'll explain during the Q&A if one of you has enough temerity to ask me. He said, Scott Bessent said, the president will announce his Fed pick either before he goes to Davos or when he returns. Yes, unless he announces it at Davos, I guess. Remember, he doesn't have to announce his pick till like April or March. And Donald Trump rarely makes decisions early. He did during the transition. He did a lot of personnel early, and it momentarily made me rethink the whole cosmos, but he's back to his normal habits. All right. Let's bring in our guests. Our guests have so much wisdom today. They're like Yoda. If Yoda and Zeus had a baby, not physically, they're both, I don't mean physically, but in terms of just pure wisdom, ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Ed Rogers. Ed Rogers, son of the South, wearing his very handsome two-way vest, not unlike my own. And
doing my part.
Yes, sir. Ed worked in the. Can you believe this? A man looking that young and spry. He worked in the Reagan White House. Reagan White House with Haley Barbour. They ran the political operation there. Ed, you won 49 states. That was you,
That
right?
was me. That
Yeah.
was me, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Ed is been a Washington fixture for many years. What's the name of the firm you work at?
BGR, as in
BGR.
Barbara Griffith Rogers.
Yeah. So the R is for Rogers. The B is for Haley Barbour, and it's an incredible place. If you go to their office, you think this is nicer than a Four Seasons. It's a beautiful space. And
Come see us.
yeah,
Free coffee.
I owe you a visit. You got more than free coffee there. And Ed, tell folks right now if they said, is Ed Rogers a Republican? Is he a Trump supporter? What would you say?
Ed Rogers is an establishment Republican who has come to realize Trump is a net plus. He gets more right than wrong. I was never a Trump donor or contributor until the day of the guilty verdict in New York. That did it for me.
Yeah. Very well said. Folks, Ed is one of the smartest people I've ever met in politics in either party. I said that about David Plouffe this morning, so you might be thinking I'm being promiscuous with my accolades, but Ed knows everything. Ed knows everything about everything. If it's politics or politics adjacent, Ed knows it, and he's raised two fine children, and I'm very happy to have you here. It's been too long. Brian Wolff is back. Brian Wolff has advised many leading Democratic figures, including Speaker Pelosi, who, there's all this talk about Hakeem Jeffries maybe not being up to the job. It's still not clear to me why people are saying it, but I can say this: he's not Nancy Pelosi. I feel comfortable in saying, as skillful as Hakeem Jeffries is, not Nancy Pelosi. In any event, Brian, Happy New Year to you. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Where's my jacket? Where's my? So
You have to buy it. It costs money.
I don't have anything.
You got to go to twoway.tv/fairway for 20% off. Use the promo code 2way20. And Brian, you can own stuff just like this. But Ed and I take our hard-earned money, we apply it to merch.
Quality merch.
Quality merch. Anyway, these are two smart strategists. They can answer any question I ask them, and I'm looking forward to hearing what they think about Minnesota, the Fed, and a variety of other topics. And then we're going to get to your questions. And you might say, what are you doing this weekend? I'm going to watch some football games or mow the lawn or go buy some long underwear. And then you say, but I'm going to start my weekend with an opportunity to ask two brilliant people, Brian Wolff, Democrat, Ed Rogers, Republican, whatever the hell you want. Or I'm going to ask Mark Halperin why he likes being on Kudlow. These are all available to you in a moment when we get to the part of the program where you can ask questions. If you just want to watch passively, like for instance on YouTube or X, peace, love, and understanding, no smack in the chat. Please be in the spirit of the program. I had so many great meetings today with people about two-way. And to a person, they said, just love how civil everyone is. And I say, do you ever read the chat? The chat is some parallel universe of it's like if Tom DeLay was a pen pal with Ilhan Omar, just smack. No, don't do that. All right, quick word from a sponsor, and then we're going to go right to this Amy Klobuchar video because I can't wait to hear what Brian and Ed think about Amy Klobuchar on this matter. Here we go. First sponsor of the night is our friends at Upside. The Upside app gives you free money. Every time I do talk about Upside, I look in the eyes of my community and I wonder, what are you all thinking? Go right now, grab your phone, download the Upside app, use the promo code MARK. You get free money. Gas stations, supermarkets, restaurants, over 100,000 places around the country participate. It'll tell you in the app what in your area participates, and you just get free money. It's easy to use. It doesn't impact what credit card you can use, whether you get cash back on your credit card. This is cash that comes back to you. It's not points. The app is free. It's just free money. Not really sure why any of you are resisting. They've given over $1 billion back to the people who use the app, and over $1 million a week cash back every time you use it. If you use my promo code MARK, your first tank of gas, first fill up, you get 25 cents per gallon in addition to the normal money you get back. Go on the app. It explains it all. It's easier to use than a pencil. I don't know. What a good metaphor would that be? Anyway, right now, go to Upside on your phone, download the app, go to it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right, gentlemen, as we said at the beginning, the president, the Justice Department, according to Jennifer Jacobs and her CBS colleagues, is investigating the governor and the mayor and others for breaking the law by impeding federal investigations. Ed, two-part question, violating my rule against two-part questions. Is there a precedent for this? Has the federal government, Justice Department, ever indicted a governor for obstruction of a federal activity? And do you think that anything will come of this investigation?
Well, I don't know the precedent. I have to think long and hard about that, going back to the Civil War,
Yeah,
but certainly not in recent history.
yeah,
But what about just the premise? Again, I know what Blue America is going to think, but Red America thinks people that are here illegally should be apprehended. And interference with that lawful function is, by definition, potentially a crime in and of itself. And what about that? And what constitutes interference? I think it's fair game. And everybody's doubling down over at the White House. Nobody's backing away from what's
Yeah.
going on in Minnesota.
yeah.
More is coming, not less.
Yeah, that's true. Even their solution to the bad poll numbers, as we understand it, is to do more to get it back on the train they want, and also maybe to reduce some of the pictures coming there. Brian, if you were an advisor to the governor of Minnesota and he said, Brian, could I really be indicted for this? What would you tell him?
Well, look, anything's possible with this administration. I think the as what you talked about, Mark, in the beginning, and the weaponization that's going on. Minnesota just happens to be a state that actually it's stuck. If you think about what happened to California, what happened to Illinois, what happened to New York, and this has just happened to be ground zero. Minnesota. We probably would have never predicted it, but it is. I think Amy Klobuchar, by the way, if you noticed what she did this morning, she pivoted from the law enforcement in Minnesota being overtaken by ICE. So she's really playing to the constituents of Minnesota. And I think that she's really driving that point home. ICE doesn't have that good of a reputation anywhere, but particularly in Minnesota now. So I think she did the right thing by a direct correlation between law enforcement in Minnesota versus ICE in Minnesota.
Yes, sir.
And, she did that while speaking to principals, students, and schools.
Yes,
and
sir.
I thought that was just like a brilliant entree for Amy Klobuchar to rise into this conversation.
Well said. And I want to come back to Klobuchar in a second, but I want to give you some more breaking news. The Washington Post also reporting that there is a federal criminal investigation, and they say subpoenas have gone out to the governor and to the mayor. And here's what they say. The subpoena suggests that the Justice Department is examining whether Walz and Frey's public statements disparaging the surge of officers and federal actions have amounted to criminal interference in law enforcement work. The law under which they are investigating the two officials, a federal statute on conspiracy to impede a federal investigation, is similar to the charges filed against protesters whom federal officials allege have attempted to block immigration officers as they do their work. Kind of incredible. Okay, let's go to Senator Klobuchar. You all are following this. I know maybe not the way a journalist might, but you're following closely. Ed, up until yesterday, had you seen Amy Klobuchar speak out on this story? Had you seen her on television? No,
I have not.
Brian, yeah, go ahead.
And I hope that Amy Klobuchar is still the type of Democrat that can get a nomination in Minnesota or anywhere else. I think well of her.
Yeah.
She's among the reasonable.
Yeah. Brian, had you seen her on TV before the last 24 hours?
No, absolutely not. And
okay.
I think that this was, by the way, and Ed knows as politics go, I think that she was, very orchestrated, very well thought out. It was very, I wouldn't say rehearsed, but it was very planned to be in that forum.
Right. Okay. We're going to show that in a second, but just this is an interesting story to me. The last time Amy Klobuchar's name was in the public realm was when the day before the governor got out of the race, said he wasn't going to run for re-election. She met with him. And I was amazed at how little reporting was done on that. Now, here I go speculating, although I call it informed speculation. Why would the governor decide he's not going to run? He would decide not to run because he saw polling data that said he couldn't be reelected and he would devastate the down ballot candidates, right? There might be other reasons, but if you look at history, that would be the reason. Who showed him the polling data? Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. One thing, Mark, to consider
Yeah.
is there's not really a lot of folks actually talking about the poll that was done prior to Tim Walz announcing
Yeah.
that he wasn't going to run. Amy Klobuchar was in that poll.
Yeah.
So no one's really surfacing that and talking about it.
Yes, sir.
But
I am right now, but I'm also talking
yeah,
about
that conversation.
yeah.
That conversation was intentional.
Yeah.
It was really to be able to highlight the weakness of the governor and
Yeah.
how not to drive the Democratic Party in the ground through the gubernatorial election.
Yeah.
And
Do you
I
know
think
do you know
folks
do you know
are-
that, Brian? Do you know that, Brian, or are you just speculating?
Well, the poll was done. That's
but-
public.
But do
So
you,
that's
but do you
that's
know
out
what
there.
Yeah, but do you know what Senator Klobuchar said to the governor in that meeting?
Mark, I'm just guessing about how politics goes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Senator Klobuchar is the leader, the titular leader of the state. She's the most popular
Yes,
Democrat in the state.
Yes,
So
sir.
you can't tell me that she's going into the governor a little bit kind of reminiscent of what happened to Joe Biden, that your weakness and someone talking about that needed to be a leader in the state to be able to tell Tim Walz.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're 100% correct on my more than a theory, and I believe there may have been private polling data that showed that she was going to devastate the ticket, and that she forced him out. So she forces him out. Then she lets it be. There's a speculation here, informed speculation. Then she lets it be known through aides. I'm seriously thinking about running for governor myself. Haven't made a final decision. And again, now we'll get to what's her motive. She wants to keep there for being a wipeout of the Democratic Party in the midterms. There's a Senate race too. She wants to maybe be governor herself to get out of being one of 100. And if she wants to be president, and trust me, she does, better to be president as a governor than as a senator. History makes that quite clear. So, Amy Klobuchar, invisible, amazing to me, most popular Democrat in the state, a former prosecutor, a very media-savvy individual, has been invisible on this story until last night and then today. And here's what she said. It's a long soundbite, but worth listening to it all. And then Ed and Brian will review. Please play Amy Klobuchar.
They are chasing down legal citizens in parking lots and wrestling them down, as the Congresswoman just noted, in front of Menards and in Targets. But instead of de-escalating the situation, the administration has doubled down. People are saying, look at my passport, look at my passport. Legal workers at our airport, Native Americans are being targeted on the way to their jobs. I recently met with principals in city and suburban schools in Minnesota, and they told me the horror stories of little kids scared, teachers being wrestled down in front of them in their school parking lot, graduates being stopped. And now the administration has chosen to send even more ICE officers, to the point now where there are nearly 3,000 of them, which is significantly more than the 1,100 sworn officers in Minneapolis and St. Paul combined, and equal to these sworn officers in 10 metropolitan police departments. This is completely, as the mayors know, out of balance, and it is chaos. We are telling our people who are so offended for their neighbors and are standing up, not just in organized protests, but are just standing up when they see it happen in stores. We are telling them to be peaceful and not to take the bait from the threats coming out of the White House, because in the end, these people would not be here from all over the country if they didn't believe that democracy will prevail, that the rule of law will prevail. But this is who we are in Minnesota. We are the people that slide down icy hills to get to a protest. We are the people that quietly and loudly come together to help our neighbors. We are the people, in the words of Renee Good's wife, Becca, lost the love of her life, a mom of 3, who said that we must reject hate and embrace compassion. So that is what I hope our representatives will pick up from their time in Minnesota and from our incredible witnesses today, that we're standing together, regardless, Democrats, Republicans, even though some people are louder than another. People know that this invasion is not what our state is about, and we're going to stand up.
So there's subjectivity in evaluating performance of people in public life. We saw that this morning when we looked at some video of Gavin Newsom with Ben Shapiro. Some of our community felt Newsom was awesome. Some felt it was a disaster. Ed Rogers, I look at that, my subjective view, because I share your high view of Amy Klobuchar, and I say, how different would this be if that woman, the most popular Democrat in the state, an experienced prosecutor, if she had been speaking out instead of the governor and the mayor for the last week plus? What do you think of that premise?
Well, things couldn't get worse. And yeah, she would be better just as a calmer, more mature presence.
Yeah.
And I mean, she had a scripted play to the blue script there. There was no acknowledgement of, I thought it was interesting, she used the word invasion, but nothing about the notion of the invasion that took place that has led ICE to Minnesota's door in the first place. Not even a tip of the hat that there's another problem here that's driving this. But I'll defer to Brian on how this will go down with the Democrat audience.
Brian, I take Ed's point in the sense that she was not a unifying figure there. She was a rally the base figure. But I just find her presentation to just be head and shoulders above Keith Ellison, the mayor, the governor, the members of the House. Thoughts on her absence, previous absence, and now presence?
Well, Mark, you've said that a couple of times. I'm not sure that I'm so stuck on the fact that she wasn't in that. I think there was a lot of stuff that was going on in the state, a lot of different, activity with between ICE and law enforcement, between ICE and individuals. And I did get stuck a little bit, Ed, on what you picked up too, was I picked up on the word invasion. I do think that Amy wanted to be thoughtful about what she was doing. She wasn't in the state at the time. She went back for a field hearing to do this, and she appeared in a number of different forums today. I think you're going to hear a lot more from her. I think you're going to hear a lot less from everyone else.
Yeah.
But I think that's what the voters see. Mark, you've played. This is literally a rehearsal.
Is Brian cutting out for everybody or just for me?
He is for me.
Okay.
He's cutting out for everybody.
All right. I'm going to mute Brian for just a minute and see if we can't get his signal back. All right. The president today backed off a little bit in one of his sessions with reporters on the question of whether he'd invoked the Insurrection Act. Here he is, number one, please.
Trigger for the Insurrection Act in Minnesota. What are you waiting for?
Well, the Insurrection Act, which has been used by 48% of the presidents as of this moment, the Insurrection Act also, if you look at it, I believe it was Bush, the elder Bush, he used it, I think, 28 times. It's been used a lot. And if I needed it, I'd use it. I don't think there's any reason right now to use it. But if I needed it, I'd use it. It's very powerful.
All right. Again, the tone of that, some suggested backing off. Here's our partners at Polymarket. This question, will the president invoke the Insurrection Act by the end of the month, by January 31st? Here's what Polymarket Wager said. You can see down to 16% chance. It was as high as 36% last month, but down pretty low given that he just raised it yesterday, as did the Secretary of Homeland Security. Only 16% say he will use it by the end of the month. Ed, what's the downside for the president politically or substantively to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Well, it would be seen certainly as escalation and have the usual suspects in the media hyperventilate.
Don't you think but is that really a downside for him? That's like his stock and trade.
That's a fair question. And when I heard that clip today, remember I was in the Bush White House.
Yes, sir.
And he said that the elder Bush used it 28 times, and I'm drawing a blank on that. I called somebody at the White House and said, where did that come from? And they had no idea. And I tried to get a couple of my colleagues from the old days, and I couldn't reach anybody. But is that even true? Did Bush to activate the
I mean,
Insurrection Act?
it might be 20 whatever times all associated with the same event. You know what I mean? He might have renewed it daily or something. I don't know. how
Rodney
that works.
King or something? I don't remember.
Well, he did. I know he invoked it with Rodney King.
Okay.
I'd be hard pressed to say he invoked it on 28 different topics, but maybe it was 28 times related to Rodney King.
Anyway,
Michael,
I would like to see the Federalist
Yeah.
Society speak
Yeah.
to this.
Yeah.
Jonathan Turley needs to speak to this. But again, interfering with federal law enforcement
Yeah.
needs to be taken seriously. It should be
Yeah.
investigated. Perhaps
Yeah.
it should be responded to. I'm not offended by the notion that the Insurrection Act could be utilized here.
Yeah, Brian, if the DNC or Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries or the DGA, if somebody sent you to Minnesota and said, set up a war room, we need a war room because too much is happening that's chaotic and we're off message. What would you do in that war room? What would your messaging be as compared to the way things are being messaged now?
I think it's really tough when you have, I thought the president straight to camera right there was just the irony of an insurrection to me is just, a bold-faced, ridiculousness. I think as far as Minnesota's concerned, I do believe that something that Ed said earlier with regards to Senator Klobuchar, I think that her goal is to bring down the temperature, to not provoke. She has used those terms. I think that's we're going to have to bring, the peaceful protest is fine, but bring down the temperature of escalating and injecting any type of violence in any situation. I think that's what Democrats need to do right now, and really be able to try to orchestrate a more reasonable conversation. But we gotta do that, and I think that's what Senator Klobuchar will do in the coming days and the coming weeks, is bring the temperature down, open the dialogue a lot more between both ICE and even local law enforcement and the leaders in Minneapolis in particular.
I could show you all lots of video out of Minnesota today, more comments from politicians, more clashes between law enforcement and protesters. But I want to get to some other topics. But if you want to get in on the conversation and talk about Minnesota with Brian and with Ed, please raise your hand. Greenland, the president today said that he might use his tariff authority to charge countries higher tariffs if they don't support his position on Greenland. Number 21, please.
%25 tariff, which is, by the way, about 7 times more than they would have to pay by raising their drug, like 7 times. This wasn't like a little bit more, 7 times more. And I may do that for Greenland too. I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security. So I may do that. I'll give you a little, I'll take you out of that. In fact, that'll end up being the story. But actually, this is a much bigger story because we're reducing healthcare by numbers that you haven't seen. So
Okay. He also, though, was somewhat conciliatory on the topic. He said NATO countries have actually been helping on Greenland. Number 22, please.
we're going to see NATO has been dealing with us on Greenland. We need Greenland for national security very badly. If we don't have it, we have a big hole in national security, especially when it comes to what we're doing in terms of the Golden Dome and all of the other things. We have a lot of investments in military. We have got the strongest military in the world, and it's only getting stronger. And you saw that with Venezuela. You saw that with the attack on Iran, with the knocking out their nuclear capability potentially. So we're talking to NATO.
Let's probably market the question. Will the U.S. invade Greenland this year? Will the U.S. invade Greenland this year? What do polymarket wagers say about that? Only 10%. Only 10%. It hasn't been much higher. People just apparently are not as freaked out by this prospect as say the Europeans are. Brian, you're an old Washington hand. You're very experienced in all this. There's never been a story like this. I don't know how I quantify or qualify that, but never been a story quite like this. How do you think this ends?
Well, I think that there's a lot of voices here on both sides of the aisle, quite frankly, about just the possibility. I do think the president is. I'm going to give him a little bit of credit because I do think the president is smart enough to know that to be able to leverage something is quite different than going the full distance. And I don't believe he's going to go the full distance. Do I believe he's going to leverage it? Absolutely. Do I think it's really going to, affect and damage our standing, particularly in the EU? Yes, absolutely. And I do think we have a lot of risk there, particularly as these, threats with Greenland, threats with Iran, threats with Venezuela, just that you see we've never been a country of nation building. I don't think we're going to start now. I don't think that the people of this country want to see their tax dollars go to those efforts. And I think that just like we're seeing with affordability as we head into the midterms, it's really going to come crashing down in the midterms. And I think that this administration is going to get a loud response from voters who really don't want to see this type of activity, want to see more about solving problems at home.
Ed, you've advised presidents, if this president called you and said, I want Greenland, but I want to reduce the volume, what would you tell him to do to get what he wants, which is access to the country's military capability and positioning, rare earth minerals, and not have to get approval for things?
Mr. President, what are the things we want from Greenland that they're not giving us? And let us form a group to go and get those things through a treaty or something.
Yeah.
I understand you want to keep the heat up, and that's probably a good thing. But again, what are the things we want that they're not compliant on?
Right.
And we'll try to work that out, sir.
Yeah. Ed, how would you characterize relationships between the president and Republicans in Congress currently as compared to in January? Better, worse, no different?
Well, I think marginally worse, but net good. I mean, everybody's intimidated by Trump. Everybody wants his endorsement. Everybody wants his favor, and he does favors. And be it legislation, be it this or that, people still very much. I don't think Trump is a lame duck.
Yeah.
In the party, put it that way.
Here's the easiest question I'm going to ask you tonight. You see a story in the Washington Post or the New York Times, and the headline and the subhead suggest, here's a story about Republicans in Congress unhappy with the president. They're unhappy on this, they're unhappy on that, the relationship's fraying, da, da, da. Who are the first two Republican members of Congress going to be quoted in that story?
You put me on the spot.
Well, somebody in the chat's already got number one. In my experience, it's Tom Tillis and then Congressman Bacon. Every story, same two guys.
Bacon for sure. Tillis, I may disagree.
Oh my goodness, Tillis is in every story now. Every story. He criticized the president. He had a story in the Wall Street Journal today just about how Tom Tillis is now critical of the president.
I saw that, but
and if
I give Tillis.
Go ahead,
Tillis is more measured and more of an adult.
Yeah, but he's quoted in every story.
And also, don't forget about Senator Murkowski.
Sometimes Murkowski and Collins get quoted too, and McConnell, but they get quoted less because Bacon and Tillis seem to answer every reporter's call. If I were their constituents, I'd be wondering how much time they have to do constituent service. They just talk to reporters about how horrible the president is. Raise your hand if you want in the conversation. 3 quick things. First of all, here's Melania Trump. She rarely talks. Whenever she does, in advance of her movie coming out, I like to play at least a bit. This is 27. The First Lady had an event about AI and kids.
Today, I urge you to take action. Use AI to unlock new parts of your imagination. Lead with your ideas, stay sharp, but remember, never surrender your thinking to AI.
Leave it up there, freeze it for a second. Ed, her hair color and yours is exactly the same.
No way.
Yeah, the lighter parts. The lighter parts are.
My hair is not gray; it's white.
Well,
I'm there.
Her movie debuts in a couple weeks. Start the first night's at the Kennedy Center. Ed, have you been invited to that?
I have not. It's not even a story I've really followed, but
Yeah.
maybe I should.
It debuts at the Kennedy Center, and then there's a theatrical, the Trump Kennedy Center, and then there's a theatrical release. Brian, percent chance you go pluck down, how much does a movie cost where you live? $19? You're gonna go 0%. Okay. Ed, is your wife gonna see that movie?
Probably
Probably.
is the answer.
Okay. The trailer's very good. Okay. Here's a harder question about another woman in Donald Trump's life. About whom did Donald Trump say this? She can be a little bit nasty, but she's always nice to me. Who did the president say that about today? Brian.
Jesus, don't call on me.
All right. Ed, about whom
I
did the
assume it
president
was a
say?
Democrat.
You assume it was a Democrat. Roll 26, please.
Wait.
Yeah, don't roll it. Yeah, go ahead. Elizabeth Warren. Good guess. Wrong. Roll 26, please.
I'd like to invest in the United States $2 trillion. It's a lot of money. And then I went to Qatar, $2 trillion. And I went to the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed, $2 trillion. So we took in $6 trillion. That's why we have 18, because we got 6 from 3 countries. That helps, right? Laura, is that right? Hi, Laura. Boy, you are something. What spirit you have. Laura Loomer. Thank you, honey, for being here. I appreciate it. Geez, she can be a little nasty, but to me, she's always nice. So that's all that matters. I want her to stay that way, too. But I was over there, and he looked at me.
All right. Lastly, and then we're going to a quick word from a sponsor, then your questions. Please raise your hand if you want to get in for Ed and Brian. Today, they renamed the road leading from the Palm Beach Airport, PBI, as insiders call it, to Mar-a-Lago. It's not a very long ride. They renamed it after President Trump. And, of course, you don't need any sources to know the president loves stuff being named after him, particularly a road in Palm Beach. Who wouldn't want a road named after him, right? So here is a little bit of the ceremony in which State Representative Meg Weinberger unveiled the new Donald John Trump Boulevard. 25, please.
Wow.
Just like any special way,
Okay.
You've done this before.
That's a serious sign. Wilton, you want to come up here? Look at that. Come on. I don't know if you're going to compete with it, Wilton. This is, all of a sudden, you're looking a little bit squeezy here. Let's see. Good.
We have these made for you.
Oh, that's great. Wow. I love that. Greatest
All right,
president
take it
in
back
our
when he
lifetime.
take it back
Well,
to when he
how
calls
old
them
are
up.
you? That's not very long.
Take it back. Did the president? No. Go forward to after. Did the president say you're looking a little bit squeezy? Is that what he said? A little bit squeezy? All right, play it again.
That's a serious sign.
What does he say here? You look a little
squeezy. Come on. I don't know if you're going to compete with it. Well, this is, all of a sudden you're looking a little bit squeezy here.
All right, is squeezy a word? Is that a word I don't know that you guys know?
It is now, but
It is now.
not before this, I don't think.
All right, I'm going to start working into my conversation. You're looking a little bit squeezy. All right, gentlemen, there's other stories, but I want to get to the community, so stand by. Quick word from a sponsor, and then to your questions. Raise your hand if you want to get in on the conversation. Cozy Earth, one of our longtime sponsors, they sponsor us because you all buy a lot of their products. Let's be frank, and you can buy more now, 20% off. Go to cozyearth.com. Use the promo code two-way for 20% off. Amongst the things you get 20% off, the Cozy Earth Baja bedding set, the Luxe bath towel set, the bubble cuddle blanket, good for humans and animals alike, the pants, the shirts, everything, all of it available to you now at the extraordinary discount, 20% off. Use the promo code two-way. Start the year off right and give your home the luxury it deserves and make home the best part of your life. Head to cozyearth.com, 20% off, promo code two-way. Tell them you heard about it here. Someone asked me this week, Mark, you recommend the pants. Which pants should I buy? They're all great. It doesn't matter. I've got 3 different ones. They're all very comfortable. They all look great. And they all will make people say to you, hey, Ed, I like the cut of your jib. So right now, go to cozyearth.com, use the promo code two-way for 20% off. Is this a new tweet from the governor of Minnesota? Let's see. Yeah. Here's what the governor said regarding the investigation into him. 2 days ago, it was Alyssa Slotkin. Last week, it was Jerome Powell. Before that, Mark Kelly. Weaponizing the justice system against your opponents is an authoritarian tactic. The only person not being investigated for the shooting of Renee Good is the federal agent who shot her. Okay. Questions now. Let's go to Ryan. Ryan, welcome in. Tell folks who don't know where you are, what's on your mind for Ed and for Brian.
I don't have a child with me today, but I appreciate you calling on me, Mark. A few things. Something that I don't think has been brought up in the platform. An ICE, I don't know how you would call it, but a couple of detention center issues. One person in Louisiana is being investigated over rape over a number of months, essentially extorting a woman so that she could see her daughter. And then in El Paso, Texas, they're looking at a potential murder of a Cuban immigrant. It's surprising that a Cuban immigrant would even be in an ICE detention center, as I think we all agree that the regime in Cuba is pretty terrible. So I don't know where we would be sending them. A couple other things. AI being brought up by Melania. Grok AI is being considered for a ban in multiple countries right now because of the fact that you can produce child porn essentially from the platform. And then something else that I think is on the fringes today, but maybe coming up in the future. I don't know if it's a legitimate story, but a person by the name of Sasha Riley has come with a number of allegations that concerning is the least I could say about it.
Yeah. All right. We're not going to do that one because it's unconfirmed stuff, but someday we will probably talk about it. Ed, thoughts on the points Ryan raised besides the last one?
Well, on the points that there could be bad actors and bad acts within ICE, okay, that's feasible, that's plausible. And the point is they're being investigated, right? If there's accusations of malfeasance, nonfeasance, whatever, against law enforcement, I tend to give law enforcement the benefit of the doubt. ICE is law enforcement, but there are thousands of them. Yeah, something can go wrong and something can be bad, but they're being investigated. And I've seen on the other matter about Grok, which I'm not a Grok person yet, I'll get there, but I saw Elon speak clearly to this, that the accusations that this platform can be used in this very malicious way were completely untrue. And he went into some detail about it. I give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you bringing it up, Ryan. Actually, I think that that Congress and this administration has been a little bit, I would say, slow with regards to regulation and thinking about what smart regulation might look like in the AI world without really just totally dampening all of the economic benefits and the value of AI in the future. But I do think, Ryan, that it is going to be on the table. And I hate to say this, but you did say it, Ryan, but I hate to say it and focus on it. But, oftentimes that regulation, and Ed knows this, but oftentimes that regulation or legislation only happens when something happens, right? So it is a part of the not so good things that happen as a part of technological advances that have happened in history. So think about it that way. I hate to say that it's got to happen that way, but it's probably going to happen that way. Go ahead.
Yeah, quickly. On a positive note, I did see that Stanford just released a new AI app that will allow you to track your sleep for one evening and give you a prognosis of potential health issues that you may have in coming years. So I don't want to say that AI carte blanche is a bad thing, but something like that a former government official of Doge would have a platform like this and would allow us to do things like that, it's just it's beyond the pale in my opinion.
I would like to do many more programs on AI and hope that we can do them in a way that creates conversations like no other. And I think we will. Dan, welcome in. Thank you for being part of Two Way. What's on your mind for Brian and for Ed?
Yeah, hi. So with Trump's comments about not having the midterms, J.D. Vance saying ICE is going to start going door to door, Kristi Noem saying Americans should start being prepared to show their ID. I have a huge concern that he's going to put the military at polling places and election sites. And I wondered what you guys thought that our elections are going to look like going forward.
All right, before Ed and then Brian answer, let me say one thing. The White House said the president was joking when he said the election should be canceled. If you go and listen to how he said it, it's plausibly true. And all I would say is, and this has been my advice since 2015, just if there's a plausible explanation for something the president said that it's not outrageous, and I give you good people on both sides as a very important example, ignore it. Don't make everything into a federal offense. He says plenty of things outrageous that they don't say are jokes. So I would just you open yourself up to being accused of not telling the truth about the president or trying to make everything into a federal case. It seemed like a joke. He said it was a joke. They said it was a joke. So I want them to address the rest of your examples, all of which were very good. But I just don't think you should include that one because he said it was a joke.
Did a president be joking like that, Mark?
Yeah, President Obama said, "You go have a drink with Mitch McConnell." I mean, presidents
Reagan
joke
said, "Let the bombing begin."
Let the bombing begin in 5 minutes. I mean, yeah. Presidents should joke. Presidents should take vacations. Presidents should play hardball politics. These are things other presidents joke too. Now, you say joke about something so serious on which his record is such that he might have been serious. Sure, I get why that would be a little different. But I just think you alienate a lot of people and you empower a lot of people to support the president if you say something where he said it was a joke. And it could have been a joke, and it seemed like a joke to me.
Okay.
Ed. Okay, Brian, go ahead. But I want to know if you guys think there might. Let me say to frame what Dan asked. If the president said, I'm concerned about the polling places, I'm going to send the military to the polling place. Would there be any way to stop that, or he could do that?
No, absolutely, and I don't believe there's any way to stop that. And I do think that Dan has a point. I absolutely think that you're going to see a lot of, let's just say, different restrictions and tighter environments around voting coming up. And, it is, as we all know, it's a state by state issue on, how people conduct their polling places. But I do believe that he's going to have the ability to do that in certain places. And I think we should look for that.
Ed.
I think the questioner, is it Brian? Is that right? Another Brian? But I think that is now going to be a go-to line for the Democrats, that Trump is going to somehow use lawfare, use the military, whatever, to be disruptive in the next elections. It's just irresistible catnip for them. And so, yeah, that's going to be part of the political debate going forward. And the fact that he was joking, not at all withstanding, it'll fuel the Trump derangement syndrome crowd and become part of their repertoire.
Ed, let me just say this. I'm really speaking to, Ed, and this has happened for decades in this country. There's always been on both sides of each party a lot with regards to election protection. So what I'm saying is, I think that we're going to see an elevated sense on both parties, by the way, not just the Republican Party, but both parties, a lot with regards to election protection, lawyers and everything. I mean, I headed up the DCCC for years. And we had lawyers on every election, be able to do recounts and address issues at the ballot box. So Trump, I just think those are going to be I think those are going to be on steroids.
And Trump and other Republicans are forthright. We need to go to election day voting. We need to go to paper ballots. This whole notion of early voting and late counting that has evolved over the last 20 years has not served us well.
Yeah. Okay. Brian, thank you. Quick word from another sponsor, and we'll see if we have time for one more. Maybe we'll do some rapid round with our guests. Right now, more opportunity to save 20%. 20%, it's a lot. 1/5, according to my calculations. TakeLean.com, promo code 2way gives you 20% off the entire site of the products from our friends at Lean. Allows you to lose weight a healthy way, not fad diets, not cabbage soup, not those injectable shots, which work for some, but I still don't trust. By the time the average person hits 60, they've gained and lost several hundred pounds. Does a lot of damage to your body to do what's called weight cycling. Right now, you can use Lean. It's an oral supplement, not an injectable. Science behind it allows you to maintain healthy blood sugar, control appetite and cravings, and convert fat or burn fat by converting it to energy. All of this can be done with the products there. Losing weight, make sure you can fit in all your clothes, but also to be healthy in the new year. Give this product a try. Many have, and it works for them. Go to TakeLean.com, promo code 2way for 20% off everything on the site. TakeLean.com. Again, promo code is 2way. Let's see. Looking at the watch, so we can get one more question in. Wally, don't read the Gettysburg Address or the Declaration of Independence. Just go right to your question, please.
All right, thank you. On Greenland, why is this all of a sudden coming to a head in such an urgency with the Trump administration? Is it possible that he has information intelligence through the military that's causing him to have a sense of urgency right now, or do you think what do you think the motivations are? Why now?
Great question. Ed, this is waxed and waned. He talked about it in the first term. Why is he bringing it to a head now?
Wally, I have no idea, but I have stopped saying that Trump's done it this time. He's really gone overboard. I've also stopped saying that Trump is off the rails. So often when he claims something or does something or makes a statement, there's a kernel of validity or wisdom in it that shows up later. It hasn't shown up yet for me on Greenland. And
yeah.
I've said on Mark's show before, I'm a good analyst to talk to about Trump because I get Trump wrong 100% of the time. And there's predictive value in that, right?
Yeah. Well said, although it's not quite 100, unfortunately. We just don't know which times of the 5% you're right. We just don't know which those are. Brian, thoughts on the timing of this? Does any of it make sense to you?
I don't know. I feel like that I have to give the president at least a little bit of leeway as far as trying to position our country strategically. I think there's a lot of threats from around the world, and I do think that that's what he's trying to do. I don't think he's necessarily articulating the reason why in such a fashion that the American people are really thinking that it should be such a priority. We've had a conversation this past week with regards to rare earth minerals, with the positioning of Greenland to the rest of the world. And I just don't think that the American people, like I said, we're in a midterm election, and I think that we're headed into a lot of trouble if they think that this is actually a priority for the American people. If you look at the polling out today that came out with President Trump's polling, Greenland polls very low as a priority for the American people.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Low as anything seen. Wally, thank you. Have a great weekend. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Ed, who's going to win the Super Bowl?
You put me on the spot too much, Mark.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Brian, any idea who's going to win the Super Bowl?
I'm still traumatized. I haven't processed the Alabama loss to Indiana yet. I can't talk about that.
I'm actually going to go with the Bills.
The Bills. Interesting.
Yeah.
I got to say, Ed, with the exception of the Indiana quarterback, there's not a player on the Indiana roster who would have even been recruited by Alabama. So kind of incredible.
I'm still processing.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an extraordinary week here. I'm so proud of my colleagues and the whole community and the guests we've had on. We say conversations like no other. I've consumed a lot of media this week on Iran, on Minnesota, on a bunch of other stories in the news, but particularly in Minnesota. Every conversation we've had here on this platform has been different than conversations I've heard everywhere else. Reasonable. They're sharp disagreements. And one of the things that put in sharp relief for me how divided the country is, we've had very reasonable, smart people like on tonight. Not a lot of overlap. Republicans continue to fall back on their core arguments. Democrats continue to fall back on their core arguments. I did have 2 Harris voters say to me this week they had more sympathy for the shooter than Ms. Good, but they were the exception. Mostly everybody in their corner. But this platform has educated me, as it always does, and provided a different type of conversation than exists elsewhere in the media. I couldn't be more grateful to you. Again, couldn't be more proud and grateful to my colleagues as well. Barring breaking news over the weekend, I'll be watching a lot of football, and we'll all reconvene Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. It's a holiday, but we will have on Dr. King Day, we will have a morning meeting. No two-way tonight on Monday. So this program will be back Tuesday night at 6 o'clock Eastern time. I wish you all a very safe and happy weekend. Stay off the black ice and stay inside if you can. I'm going now to do karaoke with my son, and the K-pop Demon Hunters, I'm told, will be front and center, and I'm looking forward to it. Ed, thank you. Brian, thank you both. Take care. Roll Tide always. Take care. Bye-bye.